can I also tell you, and why this becomes important? Someone told me a story a while back. We live in the community, and so every now and then we run into people at the supermarket or wherever, and a young man came up to me, and he said to me, he walked into my courtroom. I didn't remember him, to be quite candid. And he said to me, he saw me, and he thought for the first time that he actually had a chance. That was just my mere presence. Before I said anything, he said, I watched you and I actually thought I had a chance. And I asked him, I said, well, what did you mean by that? And he said that, well, I've come to court multiple times, unfortunately, and all of my judges were always white. And he said, I never even got a sense that they were even hearing or seeing me. Now, I'm not saying that that's true. I'm saying that was his perception. That was the same thing when Judge Thomas presided. People thought for the first time they were heard. And if they had an opportunity to show, or the state who was bringing the charges, who I believe at the time was, back the way it operated, the officers were the ones who basically brought the charges. The officers had to prove that that was in fact what the person actually did. And that has to be so refreshing. The fact that I can speak, I can tell you what happened, and you can actually believe me, and there would be no penalty handed out. That was unknown in the previous system. In the previous system, no, they said you did it. You're black, and so we just presume you did it, and there really wasn't much form or process. In fact, I was reading something in part of this that said that at one point an officer or someone referred to a black woman as a colored woman, and the judge corrected him and said every black person in this courtroom is a nigger. They're not a colored woman, and don't ever refer to anyone other than that in my courtroom. And so the dignity of his courtroom was something else that he brought to a community that really needed it. Part of our struggle, I always say, is finding dignity in all of the wrong, being able to hold our heads up and have hope in spite of all of the injustice. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And he made it a little easier because you knew that, at least if it was a crime involving a black person and a black person, you knew that you were going to at least have an opportunity to be heard, and you thought you were going to have a chance to have some fairness.